Hey, I'm Mike Baccarello, and today we're going to take a look at a really interesting way to practice scales that Sid Jacobs showed me. Let's take a look. There's a lot of different ways to practice scales, but most of them boil down to doing things in order in a linear fashion through the scale. So you can play it up and down, or you can break it up into thirds. But we're still going in a linear fashion. We're still going from the first to the second to the third. You can do triads. But we're still breaking it up and we're playing the scale in order. We're just pivoting off each note in a different way. The thing Sid showed me is a really interesting way that breaks it up and makes the scale not even sound like a scale anymore. And it's where we stack the scale in fourths rather than in seconds. And to demonstrate, we're going to start on the root. And we're going to go up a fourth to F. Then we'll go up a fourth to B. Then we're going to go up a fourth to E, but we're going to drop it down an octave so it keeps our fingering in a way that makes sense. And up a fourth to A. And up a fourth to D. And up another fourth to G, but we're going to drop it down. And then to C. And that takes us to our octave. And we go up another fourth. If we play that in sequence, we get this. It's one octave. It sounds a lot different then, but it's the same thing. Practicing in this method opens the scale up to a whole new world of possibilities and things we can see. When it comes to fourths, we can use fourths for comping, we can use it for improvisation. And we get these chord shapes built right in. We can... Now, as we take this, we don't take this through 5 different positions like we normally would on a regular scale thing. We'll take it through every different starting note because we're going to end up with a different set of shapes. So if we go up to D, up a fourth to G, a fourth to C, up a fourth to F, but we're going to drop it down, a fourth to B, E, up a fourth to A, but drop it down, A, D, there's the octave, and then G. Go up to E, F, G, A, B, and then back to our octave where we started. That looks, feels, and sounds a lot different then. But it's the same thing. We're just breaking it up in a radically different way now. Now you might notice my fingering's quite strange for this. It's not just the usual. I could do that, but I find that I have a lot less control over the notes. And because there's so many fourths in these patterns, that are on the same fret, I find that giving each note its fair value, it's really tough to do. Not impossible, but really tough to do with one finger. And so I tried to, I spent many hours trying to phrase on the fourths and have the notes flow into each other in a very legato manner without having them bleed into one another. And that's where the struggle comes. See, there's a little bit of bleed right there. That was pretty good, but it's a lot of effort to keep it going. So in some of these cases, I will use all separate fingers. So to finger the first example, second, third, fourth finger, first, second, fourth, open, and then I'll go 1, 2 here. And then here. Now, if it works for you to have one finger bar across those notes, go for it if it works. For me, I like to use the different fingers. It helps me out to make it a little cleaner. Now you can apply this to any scale. If I wanted to make this melodic minor, I would take my C scale and I would just lower the E to E flat. If I want to make a harmonic minor, I would lower the A to A flat and the E to E flat. Now, in the play along example at the beginning of the video, I was playing on the Changes to So What, which is, Miles Davis's tune, D minor for 16 measures, E flat minor for 8, and then D minor for 8 more. And on a tune like that, where you're playing out of a purely Dorian situation, a lot of these just shapes that you're learning with this scale pattern work really well as chords. McCoy Tyner and Herbie use these a ton in their playing, and they're fascinating. They really work really well. There's so much you can do with this. Rhythmically, you can have a lot of fun with this. You can do all kinds of cool things with this to make this really interesting for yourself. And so I suggest taking this and run with this, because it's going to force you instantly to see the scale in a different manner. Seeing the scale in a different manner can take you to different places, and that's really cool. That can be really useful in your playing. Like I said earlier, I got this idea from Sid Jacobs. I highly recommend you check out any of his books or videos he's published. They're all fantastic. He has a bunch of videos from Mike's masterclasses. Thanks for checking out the lesson. Keep practicing. I'll see you next time.